Thank you everybody for joining us today with the Workforce Flathead Opportunity Fair. I have Stephen here from the Montana West Economic Development. I'm going to talk to us a little bit about some of the basics for starting a business. So Stephen, thanks for joining.
Yes, thank you for having me. Well, let me go ahead and get the PowerPoint slide up here and I'll go through some things for everyone. Let's see here. And I guess to ask you, Luke, is there, while we're recording, is there a way to get me to share? There we go, share screen, perfect.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah, I thought I clicked it, but you never know.
Nope, you're fine. Let me get that up here. And I know Zoom has a function to just load it right in, but I think. All right, if we can see that there, I'm going to go ahead and get a transition there. Well, thank you again. I appreciate it, Luke, for the opportunity and to be able to share this with the community. Just a little bit about myself, Stephen Walter. I'm the loan officer here at Montana West Economic Development. Montana West Economic Development is a nonprofit here in the Flathead area at Kalispell. We also serve some of the outlying areas here around Lake and going towards Libya and Lincoln as well, too, and Eureka. We primarily are here to help individuals establish business, understand what it takes to start a business, and also find funding as well too with partners in the community, such as the banks, credit unions here as well. With that being said, I wanted to talk to you today just about the basics of starting a business. There's multiple different levels, but really the first one is trying to get a good plan together about your idea that you have and actually starting that business. So I have a few slides that we'll go through today, just basic things about what you should do in those steps and processes, who you can get involved with and who you can talk to. So just an introduction here is why start a business. So many people, you might be working a 9-to-5 job, have a good idea, and decide that you want to get away from that 9-to-5 and take your idea to the next level to make money or be your own independent boss. People, nowadays may take an idea from a business they currently work at to better that idea. Those are other reasons why they may look to start a business on that side. The big thing I'm going to talk about too today is what to expect. There is a process involved with looking to start a business, from starting your business plan, how to file with the state, getting your EIN number, financing, capital requirements, as I see there on my introduction pages too as well. And I want to point out that there are different funds out there for individuals that can help with capital requirements. Many people have come or ask about grants. With that being said, grants, there are a few out there. The state of Montana has some, federal government has one, just depending on the industry that you're in. And it's always best just to ask myself or another local expert here in the area, such as the SBDC or SBA as well too, what would be out there. And then the big thing is just research your idea. There's the big part of that. So you have your idea, writing it down on a piece of paper, and then researching what your competition looks like, what your pricing, what your strategy will be, what your marketing will be. So there's a few things that you can add into a business plan on that side that would assist with these 4 areas that I'll be talking about today. So with the business idea, so you need to ask yourself tough questions. And what I mean by that is, are you able to overcome obstacles? So starting a business, that can be extremely stressful starting out. One, you're trying to build your client base or trying to sell that widget or product. 2, you may be moving away from your job and losing that income source where you need to have that to be able to live, pay for your home, housing, food, family, and such. So being able to understand what you might have as obstacles coming forward is really imperative of how you can get over those, how you can plan for those, and how you can make sure that you succeed as a business. For instance, and what I'll give you an example of this, usually this is just per SBA, usually restaurants and the food industry have usually an 80% failure rate within the first 5 years. Many of that is just location, product, as many of you may know that, if you don't have a good food item or good customer service, people are coming back for that purpose and that experience that they get from that. So many fail to that, where there's not a plan to market or plan to expand out or being in the proper area to utilize your market as well too. The next one is to ask yourself, are you easily discouraged? And that is, if you come to a roadblock, or you're just going to say, I give up and go back, then maybe starting a business not the right time or right place for you. But I don't want to discourage you from also coming in and talk to an expert such as myself here at the Economic Development or at the SBDC as well. And I say that just because there could be an easy plan around the area that you might be thinking in your mind would be a roadblock for you. Next would be research your market potential. So there are multiple ways to do this. I know Google's a very good source, also too as well, the SBDC, myself, being able to gather information for you. But gather your data about what it looks like, how many competitors you have, what are they currently charging. Go in and visit those businesses and do some reconnaissance in the sense of what they're doing, just to better what you will expect or see. And then always take a look to it like traffic patterns and location and things of that nature too as well. And it's, more imperative for things such as, food or service industry on that side, where maybe manufacturing might not be as affected as much, but really where you're at really affects what you'll be doing and how well you'll be seen, or the visibility of your business. And again, with that, use published sources on that side. There's plenty of data out there to look up articles and to really reach out to the chamber itself too, as well, to see what's going on, get the pulse of the market too, as well, see how many people are moving here. To this area, or if you're tuning in from other areas as well too, this will work pretty much anywhere that you look to start a business. So there are tools out there, and you can look up new business checklists. Some things that I would like to just talk about today would be, before you start a business plan is imperative. And when I say that, depending on your idea and your complexity of your idea, you don't need to come in with a 15 or 20 page business plan. Usually a 3 to 5 page one works best, and you just build. It's going to be your template for growth. With that template for growth, you will be able to expand and type in and expand out what's in that business plan to maybe be 15 or 20 pages in the years coming. But having 3 years of projection is also key, and make sure they're realistic. I see a lot of times that individuals will come in with these huge numbers of almost 50 to 150 to 250% growth. Per se, the majority of people are, growing at most at 25% per year, just because people are getting to know who you are, what you do. And you may be that lucky individual that does have that type of accelerated growth, depending on what you're looking to do and what industry. But those are just some things just to be conservative. That will help, one, the financial institutions, and then myself as well too, if there's any lending opportunities for starting a business. Another one that I always ask people to do is engage with a qualified advisor in law and taxes as needed. And I only say that because how you structure your business will be how you want to pay your taxes, or how you want to build your business. The big hot structure of a company is usually an LLC these days. And nothing wrong with that. People do quite well. And really it does what most people need. But just having someone that's an advisor there for you that would, help with your tax situation to ensure that going forward, if you make this much money, how much is that going to mean to taxes to you, or how much you can reinvest back into the business as well too. The biggest thing is, I do suggest though, as I see less and less sole proprietorships, and the reason why I would say that is, one, how you get taxed as an individual, but also too as well, just I always look at protection for individuals. So anytime you're in an industry that you deal with people or have a customer base that's there, or have maybe workers too that could be injured or hurt, an LLC just protects your personal assets, where I've seen things in the past, in my past banking career too as well, where sole proprietorship kind of opened the door to, say, if a lawsuit or someone got hurt, that your house and your vehicles and your personal items would be taken as well too. So the next step following that, talking to a qualified advisor, would be to gather information about your potential business or businesses around you. As I mentioned before, there's no problem or issues with you going out and looking at your competition or seeing what they're doing or what their pricing is. Just talk to them. You per se can be a inquisitive customer coming in. And it works great, because then you can know how to price yourself, and you can see the quality of the work and everything that they're doing. And it's just a little extra step that helps you in your mind visualize what you want to do. So another thing that is kind of a trap or area that people get stuck in are the requirements after your business gets larger for reporting. Again, if you're already engaging with a qualified advisor in law or taxes, usually you're going to be set with that going forward. But what I see and find is people that accelerate growth pretty rapidly in like a year or two period of time. Taxes change, how they report changes, how their hiring changes, and just the forms and things they have to do. And then they get, caught up in the forms and reporting where they can't spend the time they need for their business. And so there's just, let's say, a roadblock or a log jam of work that needs to be done. And then the individual usually feels like they're being overworked or there's too much going on in their life and they need to get someone hired. So don't, just know that if you have that expense of hiring a professional, it pays off in the end on that, so depending on what size of business that you are. So startup basics. If you need any additional assistance with this, I'm more than happy here at Montana West Economic Development. I know Dan up at the SBDC as well too has this ability as well too. But the big thing is registering your business name or researching your business name. Before you even get involved with the business plan, I'd just get on the Secretary of State or wherever you live or here in the state of Montana and go look up the business name that you want to make sure it's available before you start crafting your image or your title or your brand around that. Again, be choosing your legal structure, your entity after consulting, or if you do know what you want to do. And then just getting those business license registration certifications as well too. With that being, as you see it here, you want to ensure you get your proper EIN number from the federal government, which actually takes very little time. If you go onto the irs.gov, you can take 10 or 15 minutes out of your life, pay over with a credit card, and you pretty much have a business created and an EIN number. I would suggest, just because of the way the IRS is doing things now, taking a copy or saving that on a computer just before you get the mail. I'm not sure what the return time is on mail documents these days from the IRS, but having that EIN number so you can apply, for a business loan or with a bank to open an account as well too. I would suggest making this easy. Get a folder together with all your business documents. So when you do go and open an account somewhere at a financial institution, credit union or bank, or come in for a loan, that you have it all in one area, which would have your Secretary of State documents, your EIN number, all your state certifications too as well. If you do have any type of agreements between shareholders or operating agreement as well too, make sure you bring that along as well, because a lot of these institutions will want to see how the structure is so they can properly build your account on that side. And then the big thing is just understand your business tax obligations. Just know as you grow rapidly, you might have to change how your quarterlies are done or set aside more money on the side to make sure that you're covering all those tax basis in terms of what they'll be requiring from you there. So a lot of times people want to come in for financing. And I just wanted to go basically over the 5 C's of small business credit. And some institutions are different than others, just depending on how big they are and how regulated they are. But the big thing is cash flow. And so cash flow is what you have coming in monthly to pay your bills. So, say you have $10,000, but your outlays and expenses are $5,000, you would then have $5,000 left over each month if you were consistent through months of what you'd have for that. You could also then look to see how that would be with a loan payment and how that would fit for your financing needs. One thing that we look at here at MWED, which I know some smaller financial institutions and some bigger, just depending on how they're regulated, is about character too as well. How you carry yourself, how you have your business plan together. We'll test or ask questions of you about how you resolve issues, or if you had encountered a roadblock, how you look to fix that, or if you look to just give up. Those are some things that we look at, especially early on in the financing stages of a new business, because you're really not going to have a lot of history. And as you grow as a business, up to 2 to 3 years, that gives that financial history for the financial institutions to understand how you operate, how you manage your cash, or how you put more back into the business. I know a lot of individuals that do start businesses always seem to keep, depending on what they're doing as they're growing, also have their primary job as well too if they don't leave. So there's some industries out there that people do on the side that they create this. So having that personal income flow also can help getting a loan, and that's actually showing history as well for you as you've paid your personal bills on that side. With being credit, credit score at most financial institutions, they do have a set parameter around where that limit is, or the lower end. I will say at Montana West, we look to help build jobs and growth. So we do look at your credit, and if there's anything really crazy, we'll have a conversation with you about it. But a lot of times we're looking at cash flow character and trying to help build jobs in the area. So one thing that I myself or any of the team will ask you here, how many jobs you're looking to create, what kind of jobs are those creating, the pay, how that's going to impact the valley itself, or even state of Montana. Those are some big things that I will go into, because really as a new business, you don't really have that credit established. I will say getting credit established is key. As you open your account with this new entity, check with the bank that you open with to see if they have any, smaller maybe credit cards that you can do some things with and pay off each month to build that business credit. A lot of times with newer ones, they'll go off the personal credit side, but getting a small little line of credit or even a credit card where you can pay just some of your like gas or expendables that expenditures that way is key to help building that number that's generated for the business. So capital is also a big one. I would say that if you have an idea, it's good to start saving for that idea. A lot of places, even ourselves, will look to have some skin in the game. Very rarely will we look to do full 100% financing for anything, just because we want the individual that owns the business to have some skin in the game or some capital that they put in as well too. And for us, you could bring in capital from friends and family and raise funds that way too as well, if you have agreements with them on that. But those are just some things that the Small Business Administration, the financial institution, be it a credit union or a traditional bank, would be looking at. Another thing is collateral. Most institutions look for some type of collateral. So don't be offended if they ask for a second lien on your home or something of that nature with a new business. I know SBA usually requires that just to make sure that you are set and your fixation is on your business and not other things going on in life. But there are ways, depending on your business side, to do things that would make up for collateral and deficiencies as well too. So it's always just great to either talk with myself or the lender that you might be working with at the bank. Another one would be just to estimate your sales. Again, as I mentioned before, look at your growth of that 3-year plan. Ensure that you are going too crazy and saying you're having triple, you're going to make $2 million in the next year, which may happen. I mean, that could possibly happen. You just have to justify how that's going to happen, but really show how you grow. I mean, it takes a time for a business to grow. And then just, I always say just estimate your fixed costs. A lot of people have a good idea what it's going to cost, and having, I would say, conservative fixed costs are best, just so that you cover all your bases and know that you're not going to run out of funds or have a cash crunch at a certain point in time. So there's a few other things with funding a business. So there are term loans out there, which are a set period of time. They amortize, say, up to 20 years, depending if it's a business or a structure. There's also just term loans on equipment, which may go out to 5 years, but that's where you pay principal and interest for the period of time and it's paid off at the end. There's lines of credit, which usually are used for working capital or short-term purposes. Those credit lines usually are just interest only, so you just draw up and down and pay those off as you go. There are also short-term loans, which may be a year or two, maybe kind of like micro lending. Then there's asset-based loans as well too, which not as many places do, just based on the asset you have will lend out to you without cash flow, but there probably are a few out there still that do that. I know ourselves here at Montana West look at having that cash flow function because we want to make sure that you can pay it back to us and we don't want through collateral. There's also some contract financing as well, and then some leasing option as well. So business plan, again, 3 to 5 pages, having those projections, having a marketing plan, who are the key players in the business, who's going to be working for you, what they bring to the table, what your product is. And then, as I said, as you continue to grow, you can focus on building that plan and having a more in-depth plan as you grow. You can always ask myself here at Montana West. We'd love to have the conversation. We have a template for business plans. If you want to do it on Google as well, too, there's many of them out there that would help you get that going. Might be a thought, too, as well. Investors, I said, talked about friends and family as well, too. A lot of businesses start off with that. I would just make sure you get a contractual agreement with them of what that payback or return looks like or how much it is, just to keep things, even though it is friends and family, just to make sure you keep things sound relationships between all of you, because I've seen those go south pretty quick. So I would say that having that together would be the best interest for both parties. And really trying to talk and secure that funding as well. I will tell you, it's a lot of work from time to time to spin on your idea. There are times I may take a plan and it's 3 to 6 months after we get it all together, but get a good comprehensive plan together and know that it can be executed. But just know that there's a planning process and a process to that. So if you're looking to come in, get funding overnight and start, most likely isn't going to happen unless you've got something like a franchise you're buying into or another business you're acquiring. So you just know there is a process, and there's myself and then Dan as well too. We work you through that whole process as well too. So that's what we do for our jobs. And then just kind of want to talk about resources. So as you know, I've been mentioning the SBDC, which is Small Business Development Centers. They have grant funding. They're part of the SBA in a sense where they help build new business plans and help kind of put all the pieces together as an advisor. Local economic developments as well too. So not even talking about Montana West economic development. If you're tuning in throughout the state of Montana or another state, usually every county or location has an economic development that can help assist or talk you through this as well too and get you connected. And then there's the SBA, which SBA itself, they have different lending programs out there that help banks and financial institutions such as credit unions as well too secure funding for new startups, where the SBA will take some of that guarantor, that risk, and take it on their books at a rate, and then be able to assist with some collateral deficiencies. There's the Department of Commerce in Montana, great site to go to. They have a lot of tools. They have a lot of different lending functions as well too, that they work with the financial institutions, again, such as credit unions or banks. And then just, local higher education centers such as the college, just great resources talking to someone there. I know that Flathead Valley offers courses on starting a business as well too, and great resource as well, where you can go learn about, basics of marketing and accounting, and can take you through that process, which I would highly recommend. They've got a great curriculum up there, and I've, love to do a shout out for them too as well. But it's, I know they do some wonderful things, and it's great. I mean, it's just some extra education that would help someone that is looking to start a business and have a better footing. I think really key education is key. We all have ideas and great ideas, but those that do well are ones that plan and put this together. And I think we've seen through COVID, some that already had a plan in place or a plan in action that could adjust are doing still quite well during the COVID period times, where others have struggled depending on industry and have, tried to scramble to try to, get things in line so they can stay operating or in business. And there's the end of that for me. And thank you on that side. I do have my phone number there if anyone has any questions. Also my email as well too. More than happy if you shoot me an email or give me a call. I will promise I will try to get back to all of you, or either whoever calls at a decent time. I do get busy quite a bit, and I've been taking on quite a bit of a load here lately too, with new loans and requests, which is great in the Valley. I love seeing people that want to start new businesses. They kind of are tired of doing their 9-to-5 job and want to take their ideas to the next level. And there's a lot of opportunity in our Valley. So looking forward to helping you as an individual and your business grow.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. One question I have for you is, typically when someone comes in and they've kind of started doing some of the preliminary, maybe groundwork, and then they come in to meet with you, do you see one area that tends to sort of be that obstacle or trip somebody up more so than others?
Yeah. So I would say it's around that projection planning. Most people are good about marketing, understanding what they can do. But it's those projections, those financials. I get a lot of questions. Well, where do I start? Or how do I look at this? Okay. And depending on what industry, I'll sit down with that individual and talk about, well, how much do you think you can sell, or how much traffic do you think you can get? And then we'll base that off and then grow it month to month. And that's usually the sticking point, because a lot of individuals kind of just they think it might be this, but it's just such a fluid situation. Yeah. And if they're seasonal, they could see a month that's not where it's at. And so they feel like, well, it should be this across the board. But really, when say school's out and, vacationing people are here, it's different than when winter comes around or the spring and the early spring anyways. I usually typically, depending on the industry, see that our January, February are usually our slower months for individuals. Going into March, it starts ramping back up usually. And that's I've seen in the banking side of things too, just because everyone kind of has that hangover from Christmas spending. And might not go out and buy, your widgets or your coffee or your food.
Oh, absolutely. In terms of the number of maybe the last year or so of people coming in and starting new businesses and what's been successful, is there a certain sector or industry that you see as being, for somebody say that they're interested in starting a small business but maybe don't know what they want to do? This would be maybe more of the industry to go into than others. I mean, obviously tourism in the Valley has its appeal, but is there something that's maybe stood out to you?
I've actually, what I've seen since I've been here in the Flathead area since October, I've actually seen a big uptick in manufacturing.
Okay.
So you would think that it would be more around like coffee and food, or like they want to buy something for tourism, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I have had a lot of individuals looking, or that have been in the Valley looking to take their manufacturing to the next level, which is actually great to see because, as tourism, all that, and in the food industry, I mean, very low barrier to entry to go into that. But what I'm seeing is more kind of high tech or skilled manufacturing processes that are wanting to come in, where they need to expand, or they want to come in there. They've been living here. They want to bring their idea back over here from another state. And that's really what I've been seeing. And with that, kind of the barrier for that one is one, trying to find individuals to work there, or skilled individuals to work there. So that's the conversation we have. And then some of the financing around that, because those are bigger projects. So you're looking probably at, hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars being invested, which I wouldn't say let that deter anyone, because I've been working with the local banks and they've been very open to taking a look at those ideas, especially if there's a little bit of a history as well too. Mm-hmm. Or, they see that as an idea that's going to help boost the Valley in terms of being competitive in the country.
Okay. Awesome, man. Worst case scenario, all they can do is say no.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, there's other venues to do. We also have an individual that's with the manufacturing extension downstairs here in Montana West. It'd be easy to get in touch with anyone that would want to be in that industry to kind of help get them together. I would say there's probably a little bit more funding out there too, as well, through the various programs and some grants too, that I think the governor is looking to put in as well too, to bring manufacturing here. So kind of the nice part of that is there's some things coming along that will help that sector grow here. But that seems to be the biggest thing of what people want to do, and they want to take their skills and trade and start a manufacturing facility.
Okay. Awesome. Looks like that's it for the questions. So thank you very much for taking the time to chat with us today. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Again, if anybody has, this will be recorded and put on Job Service Kalispell's YouTube channel, as well as the Workforce Flathead website. But if you have any questions, highly recommend go meet with Stephen. Talk about your ideas and go from there.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day.